This is the 3930 key operator training video. As the key operator, there are a few things you'll need to learn. They're not very difficult and will only take about 30 minutes to demonstrate. You'll need to know how to load paper, how to prevent jams or clear them when necessary, run test prints, how to clean the printer for maximum performance, and how to replace the supply units when required. Greater details of the information discussed in this video are contained in your 3930 User's Guide. In this video, we'll introduce you to your printer and to some of the other models similar to yours. We will demonstrate some procedures you will need to know and steps to follow to keep your page printer operating properly. This is the IBM 3930 page printer. The power switch is located on the left side panel. You can put about 550 sheets of 20-pound bond paper in the primary paper cassette and about 250 sheets in the alternate cassette. Application programs can have the printer switch from one cassette to the other during or between print jobs. The paper travels through the printer and comes out here. This is the exit tray, and it holds about 550 sheets of 20-pound bond paper. Application programs can move the tray slightly from one side to the other between print jobs. This jogging capability offsets or separates one print job from another. This is the operator panel. The display indicates messages, status codes, information error codes, and configuration and disk utility menus. The lower row is a set of touch-sensitive keys used for manual entry of printer instructions. They include the Start key, Stop key, Cancel key, Test key, Page Eject key, and Duplex key on O2D and O3D models. Next to the touch-sensitive keys are the status lights, Ready, Online, Attention, and the Duplex key status light, which is located here as part of the Duplex key. The 3930 models O2S and O3S are called simplex models because they print on only one side of the paper. The 3930 also comes in duplex models O2D and O3D, which can print on both sides of a sheet of paper. The duplex model has an extra paper cassette, the duplex reentry tray. The paper from the primary or alternate tray travels through the printer, is printed on one side, then travels into the duplex reentry tray. Then the paper travels through the printer again to be printed on the other side, and then out to the exit tray. The operator panel for the duplex model is just like the operator panel for the simplex model, with one addition. The panel for the duplex model has a duplex key, as shown earlier when we were discussing the operator panel features. Both operator panels have message displays, like this one. One of your duties is to keep them from coming on, and believe me, preventing paper jams is easier than clearing them. You can prevent jams in your printer by using only high-quality materials, handling the materials properly, as well as loading and installing the paper cassettes correctly. Your printer will perform best on 20-pound xerographic bond paper, but can also print on specialty materials like cardstock, adhesive labels if they are designed for laser printers, and on paper-backed transparencies. Remember, special materials should only be used in the primary cassette. Given the proper materials, the key to maximizing printer performance is how you handle and load the cassettes. Let's use a primary cassette as an example. Press the cassette lever down to release the cassette, pull the cassette straight out of the printer, and open the cover. You will see 3 paper guides inside the cassette. It's important to make sure they are set to the specific paper size being used. Before you take the paper out of the package, look for an arrow on the label. Many brands of xerographic paper have an arrow to tell you how to load the paper. For best results, you should load paper in your 3930 with the arrow pointing down. Take the paper out of the package while keeping it oriented as though it were still in the wrapper with the arrow pointing down. If there is no arrow on the package, orient the paper with the natural curl down. First, inspect the paper, and if there are sheets with folded or ragged edges, discard them. They're almost sure to cause misfeeds. Then, fan the paper and place it in the cassette as though it were still in the package with the arrow pointing down. Push the paper up against the end of the cassette that goes into the printer and make sure the edges are under the corner guards. Close the cassette cover and push it firmly into its slot until it clicks into place. Check the operator panel to make sure the printer has properly identified the paper loaded. A message appears in the display panel for about 3 seconds. The message in the display indicates the size paper loaded in the cassette. The most common messages indicate letter size or legal size paper. You will find a complete list of messages in your user's guide. If you see the wrong message, the trouble is probably that the paper guides in the cassette are not properly adjusted. We have been using 20-pound bond paper, which is probably what you'll be using most of the time. But sometimes you'll want to print on pre-printed forms such as stationery. If you're using a simplex model, printing on one side of the paper, you need to load the paper face down with the top of the page toward the part of the cassette that goes into the printer. But if you have a duplex model and you're printing on both sides, the paper is loaded the opposite way. Load paper with the pre-printed side up and with the top of the page away from the end of the cassette that goes in the printer. If you experience paper feed problems after you've loaded the cassette, you should be able to correct them by adjusting the paper tension levers located under the front cover. The top lever adjusts the primary paper cassette. The lower lever adjusts the alternate paper cassette. The best setting for most types of paper is in the middle, but if the printer is feeding more than one sheet at a time, move the tension lever to the right, toward the minus sign. If the printer is failing to feed paper, move the tension lever to the left, toward the plus sign. If you change the type of paper you're using, always reset the tension lever back to the 0 position before you restart the printer. If you're printing large volumes, your 3930 may have the high-capacity input and high-capacity output features. The high-capacity input feature can hold 1,200 sheets of 20-pound bond paper and replaces the alternate paper cassette. The high-capacity output feature can hold 1,500 sheets of paper and replaces the exit tray. When you use the high-capacity input, remember, it's only for letter size and A4 size paper. No legal paper, no labels, no transparencies. Those should only be used in the primary cassette. The loading procedure for the high-capacity input feature requires special attention. Before loading paper, check the setting of the paper width lever. Set it to the left for letter size paper or the right for A4 size paper. Do not push the cassette load lever down when you're loading paper because that will disable the high-capacity input. Use the cassette load lever only to remove the feature from the machine. If you're using a different size paper, you need to adjust the cassette by putting the paper guides in the correct slot. Loosen the paper guides by turning their thumb screws counterclockwise. Lift each paper guide out, holding them by the holes in the center of the guide. Notice that there is an upper track and 2 slots for each guide. The outside slots, marked A, are for letter size paper. The inside slots, marked B, are for size A4 paper. Slide the guides into their tracks and into the proper slots for the paper you're using, and tighten the thumb screws. To load paper, open the cover door and remember, keep your hands away from the paper tray as it lowers. Then, just as you did with the standard paper tray, inspect the paper. Fan it and put it in the tray as though it were still in the wrapper with the arrow pointing down. The bottom sheet should be on the cork strips, and you should push the paper in until it stops. Be careful not to overload the cassette. There's a line on the paper guide, and if you fill it beyond the line, you will get paper jams. When you close the cover door, the paper tray will rise to the correct level. If you handle and load paper properly, you'll eliminate most paper jams, but they can happen, so you need to know what to do if they occur. When a message is displayed at the operator panel, first note the message at the display. It indicates that there's a paper jam and where the jam is located. A paper jam reference label is located inside the left rear corner. This label gives you information on jam locations that correspond to the message code. If the jam is in the transfer area, raise the primary paper guide by its blue handle and remove any paper. Also raise the blue alternate paper guide and remove any paper jammed there. When you're finished, lower the alternate guide, then press the primary guide down until it snaps into place. If the jam is in the fuser area, move this blue lever to the left. Remove any paper sticking out of the fuser, but be careful, the fuser gets hot. Remove any paper in the exit tray area and move the blue fuser lever back to the right as far as it will go. If you have the duplex model, there could also be paper jammed in the printer's duplex area. Once you have cleared the inside, close the top cover and open the duplex access cover. Check the reentry tray and carefully remove any paper jammed in the feed rollers. When the jam is in the paper input area, remove the cassette and any paper jammed in the feed rollers. Then check to make sure the paper is loaded in the cassette correctly and reinstall the cassette. Finally, if you have cleared all jams, the printer will go into its warm-up cycle. If the high-capacity input feature is installed and you see a message displayed to clear a paper jam, code 021 in the panel display, open the cover door, but keep your hand out of the cassette until the tray has stopped moving. Then pull out any paper that has become jammed as it was being fed into the printer. If you don't find a jam in the cassette, the jam may be located between the cassette and the printer, and you'll have to remove the high-capacity input cassette to clear it. To do this, first remove the paper and turn off the power. Then unplug the high-capacity cassette power cord. Before continuing, please remember, the high-capacity input cassette weighs about 24 pounds and may be heavier than you expect. Use care when performing this removal. Place both hands under the cassette for support whenever lifting this feature. Okay, now, press the cassette release lever down and remove the cassette. Then check the slot for jammed paper. Carefully remove any paper that you find there. Now reinstall the high-capacity input. Firmly slide the cassette into the alternate slot until it clicks into place. Then plug the power cable into the rear of the cassette, reload the paper, and turn the power on. If you have the high-capacity output feature and you see an error message with an 026 code in the display, even after you've cleared all the jams, there may be a jam between the printer and the output bin. Remove all paper from the output bin. Lift the tray lever to lower the tray and turn the power off. Remove the exit tray, then unplug the output bin power cord. Loosen the thumb screws on the communications cable connector and unplug the cable. Then lift the output bin away from the printer. Take out the plastic insert and remove any jammed paper that you see. Then reinstall the plastic insert by holding the plastic shelf down and inserting the tabs. Now, to reinstall the output bin, Place it on its support, then align these tabs and this pin to the corresponding holes in the printer. Then slide the bin in until the tabs lock into place. Push down on the bin to make sure that it's securely attached. Then plug the power cord into the bin and reinstall the communications cable into the machine. Insert the exit tray on the shelf by sliding it in as far as it will go. The rear edge of the tray fits into the 3 metal holders located on the rear of the shelf. To ensure that the exit tray is securely installed, gently try to pull it out. If the tray is installed properly, it will not come out of the output bin. Finally, turn the power switch back on. Periodically, you will need to verify that your printer is operating correctly, and you do that by running test prints. If a standby message is displayed by the printer, it has not warmed up yet. When the printer has warmed up, the ready message will appear at the operator panel. Press the stop key. The ready status indicator goes off and the stopped message will appear on the panel display. But before continuing, let's discuss various test prints by model type. Both models O2 and O3 are unique and have a specific set of test prints. For example, models O2 Simplex and Duplex produce different test prints depending on whether or not the primary cassette is installed. Test prints from the primary paper cassette look like this, a form letter. If the primary paper cassette is removed, the page printer prints a test master that looks like this. Model O3 Simplex and Duplex produce a test master only, which is printed from either the primary or alternate paper cassettes. One reason to run test prints is to verify that your printer is operating properly. The other is to help diagnose problems. Now press the test key. The ready status indicator goes on and the printing test prints message is displayed. Then test prints will begin printing in about 10 seconds. The test prints will come out here. The diskette directory and system reference log, also known as an error log, will be printed first. Then the test prints exit. The page printer will continue to run test prints until the stop key is pressed. After it has printed about 5 to 10 test prints, press the stop key on the operator panel. The test prints may not stop immediately, but when they do, the printer will begin its initial test and power on sequence, returning to the ready state. Now let's look at another diagnostic tool, your supplies replacement log. It's a good idea to keep a record of the printer's meter reading whenever you replace a supply item. Then, if you see a print problem, your log will tell you if it's time to replace supplies. In general, if you replace an item because of a problem and it doesn't fix the problem, put the old supply item back in the printer. There's no reason to replace parts unnecessarily. Another diagnostic tool is the Quick Reference Guide, packed with the installation kit. It lists common problems and suggests how to solve them. The 3930 printer will require periodic cleaning. You really should clean your printer every week rather than after printing some predefined number of prints. Keeping the printer clean will prevent most problems and fix most of the rest. Some of the items you will need are taped inside the front cover. In addition to those items, we strongly recommend having a vacuum cleaner and soft brush to maximize printer efficiency. Keep the cleaning tools close by, store in a safe place with the other printer supplies. Turn the power off and open the top cover. Raise the primary paper guide, then lift out the photoconductor unit without touching the belt and put it in its protective bag as quickly as possible so it does not get exposed to the light. Exposing the photoconductor to light will decrease the life of this supply unit. Once in the bag, put it on a flat surface. Then loosen the developer thumb screw. Pull out the developer unit and put it on a work surface. Keep it upright or the toner will spill. The toner patch sensor has to be cleaned very carefully. Do not use cotton swabs. Use a brush. Tap the brush on a piece of paper to make sure it's clean, then gently brush the sensor. When the sensor is clean, remove the charge corona. Move the handle gently to the right as you pull it toward you. Hold the unit like this over a wastebasket so any loose toner will fall into the wastebasket. Then clean the grid screen. Make sure you brush gently along the grid screen like this. Do not brush across the wires. They're very fragile and you could bend or break them. If the grid is very dirty or if you had a cleaning unit failure, some extra cleaning is necessary. There is a latch at one end of the unit. Push the latch, press down on the screen, and remove the other end from the plastic tabs. Place the grid with the plastic shims down and brush any toner off the back of the screen. Clean the main corona wire with a moistened swab. For stubborn contamination, a pencil eraser may be used, but be very careful when cleaning this wire. It's very fragile. Replace the grid screen, keeping the shims up. Next, you must remove the cleaning unit. Look closely at the cleaning unit, and if you see loose toner spilling out from under the brush, empty it by holding over a wastebasket and tapping it lightly until toner no longer spills out. With the cleaning unit removed, the erase lamps and print head lens are now accessible. Here is the edge of the erase lamp lens. Clean it by wiping it with a clean cotton swab. This is the print head. You can see it through the opening in the front of the printer, but the easiest way to reach it is from the top. Reach in with a clean cloth and carefully wipe the surface. Then use a clean portion of the cloth and wipe it again to remove any smears. After you've cleaned the print head, moisten a cotton swab. You'll need to reach inside the printer to clean the print head lens. Wipe it first with a damp swab, then again with a dry swab. Take a good look and make sure it's thoroughly cleaned. The next step is to put the cleaning unit back in the machine. Place the charge corona in the printer with the screen facing to the left. Clean the photoconductor seam sensor. Now you can reinstall the developer unit. Remove the photoconductor from its protective bag and clean the sensor. Turn the gear until you see a hole in the photoconductor belt. Continue to rotate until the hole appears in the sensor window and clean the window with a brush. Now reinstall the photoconductor. Line it up with the guide rails. The arrow on the handle points to the rear of the printer. Then push the photoconductor down firmly into place and lower the handle. Lower the primary paper guide. Press down until it snaps into place. Use a cotton swab to clean the holes in the vacuum transport. Finally, put away the cleaning supplies, close the covers, and turn the power back on. When the printer has completed its power-on sequence, it's ready to run. Run a set of test prints to verify that the printer is operating correctly and your page printer is back online and ready for printing. But suppose it's still not running right. Let's look at some faulty test prints and see what they can tell us. These prints have black marks and black streaks down the sides of the pages in the same location from page to page. When you see prints like this, check your supplies replacement log. It's probably time to replace the photoconductor. This should give you immediate results. If you get big blotches or streaks, you should perform a complete cleaning procedure of your printer. However, there are a couple of things you should look for first. Check your supplies replacement log. It could be time to replace the cleaning unit or photoconductor. If the print is too light with vertical streaks that repeat page after page, clean the page printer and pay special attention to cleaning the print head. This should provide immediate result. If not, check with your customer engineer about replacing the developer. If you see white streaks, either the developer needs cleaning or possibly there's a foreign object, a scrap of paper or a paper clip in the developer unit. Remove the developer unit and turn the unit by hand to see if beads on the magnetic brush are missing. If so, replacing the developer unit will give you immediate results. The developer unit is relatively expensive, so consult with your customer engineer first, as you don't want to replace any parts unless they are defective. If the white areas of the pages are gray, clean the page printer. And if that does not repair the problem, consult with your customer engineer about replacing the developer unit. A smeared area, like this, or toner that rubs off, indicates the fuser needs replacing. When supply items need replacing, a message will appear at the operator panel display. These messages will direct you to the User's Guide, Part 6, Maintaining the Printer, or you may be directed to Part 6 by a procedure in Part 7, in case of difficulty. To maintain your page printer at peak performance, there's some important information we need to cover. Never use any supply items from another page printer. 3930 supply items are unique to the 3930 page printer, and your page printer can become contaminated if 3930 supply items are not used. The procedure for replacing any of the supply items is very much like the procedures we have just reviewed when cleaning the page printer. For example, when it's time to replace the photoconductor unit, also replace the ozone filter and charge corona. That's why they come packed together. Take out the charge corona and the ozone filter and set them aside. Then unpack the photoconductor, but don't open it yet. Remember, stray light will decrease the photoconductor's life. Now remove the ozone filter. Turn the power off and take out the old photoconductor. Place it in its protective bag so you can reinstall it later if you determine that it's not defective. Remove the packaging from the photoconductor and don't forget the cover on the belt. Now install the unit. Now install the ozone filter. To change the cleaning unit, you must first remove the photoconductor and the charge corona, but don't throw anything away in case we need to reinstall them later. Install the new cleaning unit and replace the charge corona. The 3930 page printer replacement developer comes with a new cartridge of toner. To replace the developer, you must first remove the photoconductor, just as we did when we changed out the cleaning unit. When you pull the old unit out, handle it carefully and keep it upright or toner will spill out. Again, you may need to save the old unit if the new one does not fix the problem. After you have unpacked the new developer, take the plug out of the recycle tube and remove the shipping seal from the magnetic roll. Then slide the new developer into the printer and tighten the thumb screw. Before installing the toner, you'll need to remove the toner cartridge first. Do not turn this handle. While keeping the arrow up, slide the cartridge out, holding it with the seal up. Now shake it vigorously to break up any packed toner. And with the arrow up, insert the new cartridge. Then hold it in place and pull out the cellophane seal. Then turn the handle on the cartridge clockwise until it locks. The label on the handle will face up. Finally, reinsert the photoconductor. The supply you will replace most often is the toner cartridge. There are two important things to remember about this. First, when replacing the toner, use only IBM 3930 toner. The IBM 3930 toner is formulated specifically for IBM 3930 page printers, and never replace the toner cartridge unless the Add Toner message is displayed, or you're told to do so by a procedure in Part 7, in case of difficulty, of your user's guide. Replacing the fuser unit is easy because you don't have to remove any other supply units first. However, be aware that the fuser unit gets very hot when at operating temperature, so when you remove it, touch only the handle. Now, loosen the 2 gray thumb screws, remove the old fuser unit, and compare the voltage numbers with the numbers on the package just to make sure they're the same. Now, lower the new unit into place and press down firmly until it seats. Then tighten the thumb screws. Remove the foam pad and move the blue lever to the right. After the old fuser unit is cool to touch, this will take only about 10 minutes. Put it in the box the new one came in. If the new fuser unit does not fix the problem, you'll want to reinstall the old one. Now, close all covers and turn the power on. The supply unit should last for their normal lifespan. If not, a supply unit may be defective and covered under warranty. The procedure to return them is located in Part 7 of your user's guide. If you're unsure about the performance of a supply unit or whether or not to replace it, contact your customer engineer. We have looked at the tasks you'll need to perform regularly. Now let's look at some of the procedures you'll do a lot less frequently. Depending on the options you have installed, your printer comes with 2 or more diskettes. Open the front cover. The diskette drives are located below the operator panel. Drive A, on the right, is for the operational diskette and is used to verify page printer operations. Drive B, on the left, is for the fonts diskette and is used for loading the base fonts for printing. Some 3930 page printers will have a C drive, most commonly known as a hard drive. These machines allow you to load the operational code and fonts resident in the printer. 3930 page printers with a hard drive have the advantage of calling out specific fonts and enhancing machine function. In the case of a diskette failure, you'll need to know how to replace a diskette. To replace a diskette, always turn off the power first. Then push the button to remove diskette. Store backup diskettes in safe locations for future use. To insert a diskette, first look for the arrow engraved into the diskette case. Now, insert the diskette, arrow first and with the label facing to the left. Push it in until you hear a click. Then close the cover and turn the power on. Depending on the model of your page printer and how it's attached to a host system, you may need to configure your printer. Configuration means personalizing your page printer to the system your printer is attached to. Configuring your 3930 page printer is not very hard because it is entirely menu-driven. You will need to refer to Part 4, Configuring the Printer, of the User's Guide when you're configuring the options and settings available. The first step is to put the printer in the configuration mode. Make sure the Job in Process message is not displayed in the operator panel and no printer interventions exist. Then press the Stop key. The stopped message is displayed and the Ready status light goes off. Press Stop again. Printing configuration data message is displayed. The printer then reads data from the operational diskette and formats and prints a summary sheet for your review. When the configuration data has completed printing, the printer displays Configuration Task Menu and Change Settings. When in the Configuration Task menu, you can scroll up by pressing the Cancel key or scroll down with the Test key to select any of the available configuration tasks, such as Save, Print and Exit, Exit without savings, Disk Utilities, or back to the default Change Settings. Now let's practice by following some steps to see how we would change a configuration setting. press the Start key while in the Change Settings task to let you change a configuration setting. The C00 is the current option. The 3 numbers to the right is the current setting for this option. Let's scroll down to the language options, C40, by pressing the Test key. We scroll down until we arrive at C40. The default setting number for this option is 000, which is the correct setting for English. To select the option you want to change, press the Start key. This will select the option as well as display Configuration Setting menu. Now we can change the current setting in that option by using the Cancel or Test keys to scroll through the setting numbers until the setting you want to change is displayed. When the setting number you want displays, press Start to select a setting or Stop if you do not want to select a setting. Let's press Stop in our exercise. Press Stop, then press Stop again. We then are returned to the Configuration Task menu, and task Save, Print, and Exit is displayed. When you've completed setting a configuration option, you can exit here. Press Start to save, exit, and print, or you can select one of the other options in the Configuration Task menu by scrolling with the Cancel or Test keys. Let's press the Start key to save, exit, and print. A new configuration page is printed for your review. The printer then goes into its power on sequence. That's it. This concludes our review of the IBM 3930 key operator training. It's simple, really, but before performing any of the procedures we have covered, you should review them again in your 3930 User's Guide or the Quick Reference Guide. Proper maintenance and care of your page printer will give you trouble-free use. Enjoy your printer.